in the chat, it'd be fantastic. So it's just a few minutes after 7. We will go ahead and call the meeting to order. It's almost 7:15. I'll just say 7:15 for the sake of it. And thanks everybody for being here. We have a good turnout today. Welcome back, Susan. And I feel like I haven't seen you all in a little bit here, but thank you for joining tonight. And sorry, Stacy's had quite a year and she had something come up and is not able to join us. So thanks for bearing with me as to lead us through our meeting. And we did have several things we'll get to later in the agenda of different things that different folks would like to address. We kind of went over the attendance, myself, Jenny, Solomon's here with us, Sergi, Lance, Susan, Ruth, Nicole, and Hazel. Did I leave anyone out?
Could you just take that word diva out and put guest in?
Yeah.
But you are our diva.
No, please, just do
Definitely. It. So we're all here and accounted for, with the exception of Stacy, who is not able to be with us tonight. Our upcoming board meetings, just a note of those real quick while we're thinking of board meetings. August 14th, September 11th, November 13th, December 18th. And then we do next week, we have our AI event rescheduled, which again, we'll touch on that here in a little bit. Before we go down to that, we have several areas such as membership. I'll just let each person, if you have a report, we can go through that. Do you have anything, Sergi, under membership that you'd like to address?
My computer froze, which is, I'm glad that I logged on with my phone and my computer. So I'm just kind of working off of memory here. So I do know we have 494 members right now, down from 8 from last month. Last month was 502. We did send out a renewal request for folks last month, and that's where the notes are a little lost here. So I think it was about 50 or so people that we reached out to, and I wanted to kind of compare if anyone had joined us. So we're still working on that, and I'll be working with Hazel. We're also going to be reaching out to folks who are still getting our newsletter, even though they're not SPJ members. And we're working on a draft email on that. Hopefully that'll boost our numbers back up again. And that you'll see that soon, Hazel. It's based loosely off of the renewal letter, but geared toward those who have never been an SPJ member at all. So that's what we're working on. That's it.
Thank you, Sergi. Any comments or input on the membership report? A good report there. I think our numbers are remaining steady there. I'll move along to the mini grant proposal. I think most of us saw that in email. It looked great. Hazel or Susan, I'll let you jump in here. I know you worked with Stacy on this as well. But just maybe if you want to give any updates or just speak to the board about it. And I'm not sure, are we voting on this tonight, or we already did vote on it by email, correct?
Yes, we voted on it by email, and I did not see anybody say they didn't think we should do it. But in particular, I want to call out Nicole for having asked some really good questions, and much appreciated to have other people weigh in on some of those questions. And I hope that that we have answered the questions, and Susan and Stacy and I will get together. Stacy's traveling today. I think she's heading back to New York. So we'll get together probably, undoubtedly not till next week. So then we will try to get all the collateral together and make the decisions about how to word the questionnaire the application form. And also the page for the SPJ website. So thank you all for your approval. And Nicole, is there anything else you wanted to say? Oh, you said you can't unmute. Is that what you said?
I can. It just takes me a moment sometimes because I'm driving home.
Ah, okay.
But I don't have any other questions.
Okay. Thank you again. Your questions were really on point, and I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yes, it always helps to get more input and different in perspectives. So thank you for that. Thanks for the chat too. I think everything's been addressed there in the chat. I'm going to move along to the newsletter with Lance. If you have any updates there, anything you'd like to say about the newsletter?
No, we're just still trucking along. I know it's been tough this summer. Some things come up, so we're all still hanging in there.
Thanks for the great work on the newsletter. It always looks fantastic. I know sometimes it's like pulling teeth to get it through at the last minute or to get the items we need, but I feel like this community, Lansing specifically and leading it, does a great job. So thank you.
Well, thanks.
Can I just say one more thing about the newsletter? I have so enjoyed watching Lance become an editor. And he really has learned a lot about how to bring along new people who don't really, haven't done this before. And I think he's made a great relationship with the two people who are contributing a lot of the content. So great job, Lance.
Thanks. Yeah, that's true. I've built a relationship with everyone I've worked with so far.
It's good.
Yeah, we appreciate all your work and bringing those folks along board.
Thanks.
Next item up is resources on your own guide. Stacy kind of listed that out for us there. She says there's 38 separate sections listed on the Google Drive. And I believe, if I recall correctly from last meeting, some of us had agreed to help. And Stacy put a note that she emailed everybody with sections on which they could begin. If you've already started, thank you. Lance has. And then if you haven't, can you get to your first section before the August meeting? That would be great. So Stacy's committing to completing her sections by the August meeting. So if other people have sections, just a nudge to get started on working on your sections. She'd like to see some progress by the August meeting.
Are we,
does any-
if we're gonna go through this as a group through the whole thing, I think that needs to be a meeting separate from the board meeting. I don't think we can do both, all of our usual board business and go through the entire guide together in the same evening. That's asking a lot. I'm not sure what she has in mind for the group review, but
I don't think that's what she had in mind, Ruth. I think she just wanted everybody to put their comments in.
okay.
Lance has done a good job of that. And if you all just go in using the email that she sent with, I think she sent you the login, and you all should have permission in that software to be editors or commenters. I don't remember the exact terminology, but I think that there's not an intention to do a group edit. I think once the all the comments are in, like the ones that Lance has put in, then Ruth, you should be able to go in and approve them. And if not, then I will work with Stacy on using.
No, I was expecting to go through once everybody else has contributed. I just wasn't sure what she meant by going through this as a group. So if she
That's all she meant.
means the current process, great. If she means going through it in some kind of a meeting
No.
format, that would
No.
need a separate time.
No.
Okay. Oh, good.
You're right. I think this is just so each of us individually can work on our sections if we have some to work on.
Okay,
Is my understanding of what we're to do right now.
okay. Sounds good.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions on that, on the on your own guide? Or we probably maybe all need to go back to that email, and if we are doing a section, make sure what we're doing and that we're on track with all that. If you have any questions, let me or Stacy know. We can help out with that. Moving along to the webinars we have coming up. We've talked a bit about the one coming up on July 25th. That was rescheduled due to Biden's talk or his press conference. And so that was going to be July 25th. And all these webinars are at 7 p.m. And then I think we're in pretty good shape with that one as far as the lineup and what needs to be done. We did have folks who were invited, so we just had to notify them. So there's a little bit of just making sure people know where to come when, but I believe we've sent out the email about that. So I think everybody should be in good shape for the next one. Anybody have any questions about the July 25th webinar?
Looking forward to it.
As far as upcoming webinars, do we have work that needs to be done on lining those up? The August 28th podcast for freelancers.
So
She has Susan's with the update question mark.
yeah, I've gotten a lot of like no response at all. So I've emailed a lot of people and have gotten no response. I do have one person lined up, and she is the one of them who did the Tylenol murders podcast. Nicole was the one who recommended her. She's not a freelancer, but she works the newspaper in Chicago and pivoted to doing this podcast. So has experience with that pivot and the difference, that it makes. I have emailed, let's see, the reporter behind the Bundyville podcast. She's a print freelancer who is now working with Oregon Public Radio on podcast stuff, who specializes in white supremacy groups and militia. And then I've emailed the person in charge of who did the Dr. Death podcast. I've emailed the somebody else who can't do it. I emailed my contact at podcast production house here. Haven't heard back. So there's a lot of people who I haven't heard back from. And I was kind of focusing on narrative podcasts, but there are people who are print reporters who do like their own podcasts that are not narrative, but I don't know if that's as interesting because there's no writing difference because you're not writing. But anyways, so if you can think of anybody who has worked in print and then has done a narrative podcast, let me know. A lot of those emails I sent out before I left for Japan, never heard back from it, people. Yes, Solomon.
Have you tried Mallory Cara? She's at USC. She teaches an award-winning podcast. She's actually one of my she's in the AAJA as well.
Does it have to be print? Couldn't it be a broadcast person who's
Because
doing
then what's
podcasts?
the pivot? What's the pivot then?
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah. So we're looking
Yes,
at
Mallory
pivot.
does the West Coast media jobs as well, the jobs list that comes out for the West Coast. And she also teaches podcasting, and they've been winning a few awards in their podcast. So she's probably would be a good person to reach out to, especially for teaching it to other people.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So yeah, I've reached out to a lot of people and I haven't heard, people don't respond. Even if they would just respond nicely with a no, it would be helpful. Um yeah. So that's that update.
Susan,
You
I
want me
just popped in
to-
the chat that Lauren Bavis may also be a good one. She did a side effects podcast for public radio, but she started in print and like made that jump and did podcasting for the radio station.
Okay.
It may be close enough. I don't know. You can vet it if you want.
Okay. Yeah, so I just need to sit down and kind of research what print reporters have crossed over and back. Yeah.
Just circling back to the chat, Hazel, you asked about the SPJ calendar item. Do we need to get the July 25th on the master calendar for SPJ?
Yes, please.
I can do that after the meeting. Thank
Okay.
you for putting that on there. I did let Billy know about the updates, but maybe that didn't get added to. Thanks, Susan, for the update. I also know of another name or two of people that started a podcast here locally that were with the Inquirer, but now I think they're freelancers. So let me check on that. And if I have a name, Susan, I'll send it to you. We don't have an event in September. In October, we have the retirement planning for freelancers. Ruth, you already touched, I think you touched on that one, that you're going to be heading that up. And just wondering about any updates there, and maybe you already gave that.
Yeah, that's the one. I have two people I've invited to speak, and I will also ask them if they can provide handouts. If they can't, I will make one, but I don't think that's an issue. So that one's ready to go. I will send, gosh, I guess Lance and you information as soon as I get a formal confirmation from both of them, and we can start promoting it, I would say late next month, early September.
Could I make a suggestion, folks, that somebody on the board might take on the task of putting things on the SPJ calendar? Because it's something we haven't.
I can do it. I can do it, Hazel. I for some reason I thought there was a shift and I wasn't doing it anymore. So I apologize if I had that wrong.
All right, that's great. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. In November, we don't have an event. In December, we have taxes for freelancers and we need some ideas for hosts.
I can, Ginny, I can host it. I'll just find somebody else as one of the speakers. I did a session about that for ASBPE, so I already have a whole boatload of material.
Ruth, if
you, does that load you down too much?
No.
Ruth? Okay.
If you want to get in touch with the accountant whom I interviewed the last time, he said he'd be glad to come back. And
Perfect.
And I'll send you his information.
Perfect. That'd be great. I'm inviting the CPA who does my taxes and specializes in doing taxes for independents, whether they're in communications or the arts or wherever, but she's based here in St. Louis. She's really, really good. She's an enrolled agent, all that good stuff. So she was my first person to check with, and I think having two people would be great.
Okay. And Matt can deal with issues that a CPA, taking it one step beyond enrollment.
Perfect.
To deal with. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks,
So
everybody. And there's a couple in the chat
one
too.
question regarding webinars. I'm wondering if it might be easier if we make a Google form for signing up which will go straight into a Google Sheets. And then we can say, if you sign up, you'll be sent a link on this day so that they know and you're not getting emails asking where the link is. And then we can just copy all the emails and send them in one email versus responding individually to each email. So like streamlining the system. Would
I
that be easier?
I had a similar thought, Susan, but using Zoom as, because you can make a sign up form on Zoom. But I think that I might suggest that you guys table this until Stacy's around. I think
Yes.
she set it up this way, and I don't think she realized how much of a pain in the butt it would be for her.
For
And
everybody.
well, right. Well, she's the one who's to be the public facing person from the freelance community, and this year has just really whipped her and continues to do so. This week wasn't a good one again.
Yeah, I just think it would save time and so that it's not quite as cumbersome. Yeah.
But there are ways that we can do it to make sure that we reap the benefits of the signups, harvesting the email addresses and people's names and things like that. And she set it up this way. I just would suggest that we not decide to change it without her.
Good suggestion, but Susan will bring that to her attention. It might be a better way to do it, and then we can look at that. There's a couple agenda items that folks want to talk about. One of them, Susan suggested making the recordings as far as access, that we make the webinars open to everybody, but SPJ member or non, or freelance community member or not. But then if they miss the event, they have to be a member to get it. And point of clarification there, do we mean SPJ member or freelance community member? Stacy wanted us to discuss it and take a vote, maybe what we should do on handing out the recordings if people can't be there. Susan, you want to start with that one since you kind of had the suggestion?
I just the way I'm thinking of it is that if we had webinar, I mean, we could have some webinars for only members, but it limits the number of people there, which then like trying to get guests is like, if you're only going to have 5 people show up, it makes it much harder. Whereas if you open it to everybody and you always have at the beginning and like, this is what the freelance community is, here's how you can join. And then at the end, here's what the, SPJ is. If you're not a member, here's how you can join. We provide you with all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. So use it as a promotion tool.
Yeah.
And then if you want access to the recordings, then you would need to be an SPJ member. However, Hazel brings up a good point about how it is on the SPJ website. So I don't know if that's even possible.
I know that it is possible, but the question is, it's kind of a funky time at headquarters as Caroline, the new executive director, is building her team and trying to wrest some organizational control over SPJ, which if you're snickering right now, there's a good reason you are. We only see Nicole's picture, but I'm guessing that she, yeah. Well, anyway, I think all of us have been around SPJ long enough that we know that this could be a difficult time. So
what about saying we'll only send you the link if you are a member? Like the link to the recording.
Well, I don't think we should do it for the July 25th webinar because we've already told people
Yes.
that there will be a link for that. But also, I think it's a question of going through Caroline to get permission to talk with Billy about how that would come out. Billy's the website person, and he is on contract to SPJ now, not an employee. And so when we ask him for things other than the normal sending in a calendar announcement and stuff like that, then we are using SPJ's resources without really being.
We're adding to the scope of his responsibilities and he can charge extra.
Well, it's not,
Maybe.
we pay him for every,
Yeah.
whatever his contract says. But at any rate, thank you, Ruth. That was a good way to put it.
So then the question is,
Would,
do we want webinars to be open to everybody, or do we want them to be open to just SPJ members? I would prefer mine to be open to everybody, because if I'm going to put in this much work, I don't want just 5 or 10 people showing up.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And I think that they would be good promotional resources for both freelance community membership within SPJ and SPJ membership in general. We all have so many different outlets for promoting these things in our own social media platforms that we might get people who are in journalism but haven't yet joined SPJ, or maybe left and would come back when they see that they're getting value.
Anybody
And
else?
if we're not charging,
don't we have through the Zoom access to the links? So could one of us potentially grab the link and send it? Do you think it's going to be a lot of like 50 people that need a link, or like 5? You know what I mean? Could we go in and grab the link and send it on a case by case basis, or is that too much legwork for somebody? Just a thought. I'm just wondering if it's possible.
That's
well,
not
don't we
really-
usually, sorry, go ahead, Hazel.
That's not really the way it works. The way
Okay.
it works is that Billy maintains a YouTube channel or a YouTube place for SPJ stuff, and there are channels within it. So
Okay.
that's
I
how
thought,
our board meetings are separate from our webinars, for example. But he has to take it down out of Zoom within a certain period of time because we only have so much space in the Zoom cloud. And so
I thought,
sit down and puts it on YouTube. And then if it's in our channel, then it's available to the public. And I don't even understand anymore. Like 5 maybe years ago, I used to have permission to work with the YouTube channel. That goes way back to when I was chair. So, so it's more than 5 years.
I thought the way that people get access to the webinars is we post wherever and they write to the SPJ freelance community email address to say, I'd like the link, and then we send the link.
Well,
And
Hazel's
then if
talking
you
about
have
the recording.
Oh, the recordings. Okay, that's
Talking
different.
about where the recording is.
Okay.
It's all, in my opinion, if we can just make it available to people. And the way it works right now is there are feeds on our hub on the SPJ website. So 2 separate feeds, one for webinars and one for our board meeting. And that once Billy puts them there, anybody who goes to our website can look at them. So it would be a question of moving that feed behind the login, the SPJ login. We don't have a login just for the freelance community. And that's where the difficulty could come. I don't know really what's involved in making all of that work, but if it would be helpful, I'm happy to work with Billy on it if Caroline says that that's okay.
Sounds like maybe the thing to do is ask Billy what he thinks we should do or what he wants us to do, if anything. No?
I wouldn't do it that way.
Well,
Okay.
if we can, I think we need to decide how we want to do it and then ask him, can it be done? Or what he needs to do to make it happen. But I think we need to make the decision first, how we want to proceed with it and see if we can do it that way. Would be my take on it. It sounds a little bit complicated right now, like it's not a straightforward way to do it. So I don't know if we can vote on that right now. I think Stacy was kind of wanting a vote. But it sounds like maybe we need to, I don't know, do we still need to hash it out a little bit more? Or have we decided we're open to everybody and then we want to only have the members have the recordings? I mean, I guess we could decide on that. Like, I think we need to decide, are webinars open to everybody? And then, yes, I guess yes or no, that's one vote, which it sounds like it's already a yes, the way we've been doing it. And then another point of vote would be, do we only want the members to get the recordings? And then between that, we need to decide, are we talking freelance community members or SPJ members? So I guess the first thing, it sounds like we're all in agreement. I guess just raise your hand if you think that the webinar should be open to everyone. Whether or not you're a member, SPJ member, or freelance member, I think that's true. We are all agreement on that. Thanks, Nicole. Then the second point, do we only want the recordings to be available to members after the fact, like if they can't make it? I guess that's a yes or no vote.
Yes, if possible. I guess add an in if possible there.
Okay. Yes, if possible. I vote yes for that. Only make it available to members. Is everybody going to vote on this, or I guess have the yes votes if we only want to make it available to members. So that's Jenny, Ruth.
Members of what? Members of
Members. Oh yeah. Members,
I would say SPJ members.
Yeah.
SPJ members. I would say SPJ members. I agree
Yeah.
with that. SPJ members only to have the recording. So we got Jenny, Ruth. Hazel, are you voting, or I can't see?
I'm not a board member.
Okay, great. So I have Lance. What's your take, Ruth?
I think yes to making it
Okay.
available to members.
Solomon's yes. Lance is yes. Sergi, I can't see you. Are you want to vote yes for this?
Yes.
Okay. And did I get everybody? Susan, what's your vote? Yes.
Yes,
Okay, so we all voted yes to only make the recordings available to members
if possible.
if possible. And then was there let me see if did I get all the issues there?
Yep.
And then I think, do we need to determine how we can do this, right? So is this the point where we need to go back to Billy and find out, hey, can you give us the recording so we can make it available to these members that request it? And that's a question too, like, are the members only going to get it upon request, or do they just go somewhere and retrieve it?
I have a question.
Yes.
Do we have access to our Facebook or YouTube page? The YouTube
It does
page
not
has-
sound like it right now currently.
No.
It sounds like Billy's controlling it
Okay, because our YouTube
correctly.
are you
Go and subscribe to our feed.
okay? Because I was going to say that our YouTube page has 444,000 subscribers. So if we could just get the password, I mean, there's 1.44K subscribers on our YouTube page.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if we could just get the password and access, that's a simple get. And anybody can upload a video to it, and you can do it when you can do it. That's
Yes.
added value that we could control and not have to worry about asking the headquarters for anything. And then the other thing is that, and we can look that up, is that when you use Zoom gives you an option to record all of the information online and on your computer. So you should have at least a 720 copy of whatever, and the copy of the meeting doesn't have to be 4K, like nobody's looking for mind-blowing visuals on a
Yes.
SPJ. So a small 720 recording of the meeting could be uploaded from the same computer that hosts the meeting if we have the password, which is not that hard. If they say that it's hard, it should not be that hard. Like it's not hard. Worst come to worst, you could just make a new YouTube page. The old one has mostly meetings on it, and say that it's, just to have the same symbols, the same stuff. Send out something to all the people that are subscribed, and then get them to come to your new page and see your seminars.
Was the purpose of our vote though to number one, try to get people to come in person? And then if they can't, to kind of limit, well, it's kind of make it that added member benefit
Yeah.
so that members do get it.
Yeah, and I think we actually, because Stacy wants the webinar recordings going to members of the freelance community only, not to SPJ members.
Ah.
So I think we should vote on that as well, just because she has suggested that.
So she really wants it narrowed down so that only the freelance community members get the recordings.
Yes.
Okay. So do we have a vote
Then
that
we have to
really,
cancel the vote that we just
yeah,
took.
we already just did do a vote that approved everybody in SPJ. So I will
Yeah, so that
void
should
that vote.
stand.
Yeah, so do we have a vote that these recordings would only go to the freelance community members as a sort of added benefit, to the freelance community? Yes votes.
I'm not sure. Like what's the argument to keep it to the freelance community only?
I think it's to have it as a freelance community benefit and to get people to sign up for the freelance community.
But then is that going to knock out SPJ members? I don't know. It's a little bit of a conflict there in a way. Like if people aren't, maybe for some reason there aren't yet community members, but they say, hey, I'm an SPJ member, then we're going to knock them out. I don't know. It's a little bit of a gray area to me.
Yeah, I would vote no on that. Like
I mean,
on
maybe
that narrow.
Yeah. Do we want to take a vote? Oh, we can go ahead and take a vote and see where it shakes
I'd
out.
like
I
to-
feel like it could.
I'd rather have some time to think about it. I think maybe we do that vote by email.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. We can do that. Thank you, Ruth, for that input. So
I would
we
just
still have it.
I would just add that as long as we're not charging dues, I don't know that I would see a problem with restricting it to community members simply because anybody could join and be a freelance community member.
Yeah, we're not, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we're asking SPJ people to be active freelancers if they want to be part of the freelance community, right? Or are we saying that they should be?
That's true. We don't ask them.
Yeah. So that would be my
A little bit of
reason.
gray area.
It's a gray area. I think the other gray area is who's going to check membership. Just for simplification. I mean, I know,
For that
checking-
aspect, we might have to go on the honor system.
Yeah.
Yeah, my question is, what's stopping a freelance community member from sending it to a friend who's in SPJ who's not a freelance community member?
Yeah.
I mean, if you send me the link, I can send it out to whoever asks me for it, technically. So there's no way we can actually really stop non-FC members.
I mean, we could
I-
say it's for the freelance community only and hope that people understand that means they're not supposed to share it anywhere, because if you take that position, Lance, the same person could send the link to the recording to people who aren't even SPJ members. I mean, once you have the link, you have the link. You can do whatever you want. You can give it to the cat. But I think we need to, if we want, excuse me, if we want to make it for the community only, then we should say so and maybe find some tactful language of saying, please do not share this link.
So I'm gonna throw out another suggestion. So to think of it as like not a hierarchy, what would be the right word? So like open to everybody who open to everybody. SPJ members can get recordings, but the any handouts are only in the freelance community. Is there a way to do that?
We would have more control over that because we have control of our Google products. So
Yeah.
that's it would be easy to do.
Easy, but not easy.
I know.
Somebody's gotta, you know,
Manage it.
there are a few people in the SPJ who really spend a lot of time working for the freelance community.
I mean, I think, well, I don't know. I would lend to just make it SPJ members because unless you're just trying to reel more people in, because I think it makes it a little bit just,
You mean SPJ members for the recordings?
yeah, and just really I don't really see what is the benefit other than trying to get people into the freelance community of keeping people from getting it. Like, it's basically, we want to encourage them to be freelance community members so you get this, but it's, I don't know, kind of in a way makes it complicated to me. I would probably just say SPJ member, okay, here you go. But I see the point of we want to make it more exclusive to freelance community, which to me it's just an extra step of like, okay, are you a member or not? Which I think most people, kind of are on the honor system.
I don't think we would have to ask Ginny. I think it would be, if we decide to limit access to recordings or handouts, I think saying that there are only 4 freelance community members for the most part should be sufficient. I don't think
then that's fine. I think that pretty much covers it because the other people will know, hey, I need to be on the freelance community to get this. And like, they'd probably know where to go to get it, right? So we wouldn't have a lot of cat herding to do. They just probably know, like if we say, okay, freelance community members get this, they would, unless it was somebody wanting it that was outside of that, then they might try to get it anyway, right? Or
like I said, can we have a couple days to think about it and vote on this
yes, we
aspect
can
by email? And
So
I
we
just
can-
thought
we
of,
can table that, but
we need to revert back to the webinars for just a moment because I'm
Yeah.
looking at it again, and I just saw that in Stacy's notes, it says, where'd it go? New guidelines, okay.
we
Somewhere,
haven't got to that
oh,
yet.
here,
But yeah,
no board member should coordinate more than 2 events in a year, never 2 in a row. However, at the moment, it looks like I've accepted responsibility for both October and December. So that's fine with me, but it goes against that phrase or that rule.
let's ask Stacy, because really we're skipping a month in there. I don't know if that counts, or if I think the purpose of that, she just wants to mix it up, so maybe more people besides just you and Hazel and Susan are doing all of them. So maybe we'll check with Stacy on that to see if that's okay, Ruth.
Yeah, it's fine with me, but I don't want to overstep. And if it's a choice between the 2, I'll continue to do the retirement one and we can find someone else to moderate the taxes one.
Okay.
And we
Thank
also
you.
discussed in the last meeting that there's including me, there are those on the board who hasn't coordinated a webinar yet. And I believe that they were talking about putting together maybe a guide or something, just specific things that needs to be done.
Stacy is still working on that, actually.
Right. Okay.
Thanks, Sergi. So
You're
we'll
welcome.
circle back with Stacy on that, and
Okay. Maybe make that effective for 2025, just so we can get through this year and have sufficient offerings for people.
we'll double check that with Stacy and I'll follow up with the email on that.
Okay.
Hazel also had, someone wrote in, Hazel, you want to jump in here? Or you want me to just give an overview of that email, that correspondence that you received?
Sure.
And I'm
Actually,
gonna have to duck out. I have another event at 7, so thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Ruth.
Let me know what else you need from me.
Appreciate
Bye,
it. Thank
Ruth.
you.
so a person who is a member of SPJ and the freelance community has received a grant to work on materials for coverage of victims of child trafficking. And she asked us to put something in our newsletter and in SPJ's newsletter about it. And she also wrote to headquarters. I asked her for more information, and she sent something that's too long to put in the newsletter. But it looks to me like a very worthwhile effort. But I didn't want to just take it on myself to submit it for the newsletter without talking with the board about it. So I'm talking with the board about it.
My thought would be, as long as it seems like a legit survey, which it kind of sounds like it does from her email. And I mean, the other thing I might do first is SHQ, but I mean, I don't think our putting it in there is maybe contingent upon if they put it in the newsletter, but we could do that.
It's not
Otherwise,
freelancing related, and that would be a reason for it to go in SPJ's newsletter and not ours. But
did you
we
say
know-
it's not freelance related, Hazel?
it is not. It's
Okay.
journalism related.
I would agree with Hazel on that. I mean, it seems a little bit broad and related to journalism. And
Let's
that seems
just-
like something that SPJ should vet as well. I mean, I'm sure
Yes.
the person's vetted, but there's some issues going on that I would prefer SPJ deal with that.
Agree. We'll send that on to them, Hazel and everybody. I can send it on if you want, or Hazel, if you want to. I don't know. Maybe you've already done that, but
Well, she's written to the communication staff who do SPJ leads. Here's the reason that I would be in favor of the freelance community agreeing to put it in our newsletter. I don't know how many of you read SPJ leads. Could you put your hand up if you do? I figured you did, Jen.
yeah.
And you and I are the only
mean,
ones in
most
this
of us
whole
probably do.
group. Oh, I don't know. Nicole's not. Oh, she does too. And Sergi, do you also?
No, I do
Um,
not. I look at it, but then I do not read it.
I have once or twice.
Okay, well, so, but there are a few of us who read it, but, you know, our newsletter gets, 98 or more % opens. No, delivered every week, And most weeks we're right around 50% opens. And our clicks are through the roof. So
Yeah, that's great.
um,
I think I would come at it from a standpoint, just making sure, like, not that we're promoting trafficking, but it is a sensitive issue, and whatever she's wanting to accomplish is okay to put out there. I mean, I might just run this like, hey, is it okay if we were thinking about publishing? I mean, I don't know if we need to ask her approval, but I think I always lean on I don't know what this person is really saying. Let me just get somebody else to sign off on it. Kind of thing. But I mean, that'd be my 2 cents. But I mean, I don't see why we couldn't, if we position it. This is another freelancer. This is an optional survey. If you want to take it, go, here it is. You could position it that way. That way a little bit takes us out of the being responsible for it, or, clearly say this is a submission, we don't endorse it either way kind of thing. If I think
you
if we position it that way, we're fine.
You could put it at the bottom.
Yeah,
I would just be a little concerned about the precedent that it could set. Because we all have our own passion projects and just it could lead to everybody asking and then it dilutes.
So
Maybe
one
that's
thing
not
you
the
might
word, but it adds one more thing to read, and then people may not actually continue reading our newsletter.
one thing you might suggest to her is if or them is if they have a tweet, to send us the tweet and we will retweet it to our community and do it that way, instead of putting it in a newsletter, suggesting like, hey, we can do it, on our social media channels instead.
Yeah, that is a good solution. Thank you.
For the grant that she won for this project, did she get that from our newsletter?
no,
That could be.
I don't know. She didn't say, but here's an interesting thing. We put in things about surveys like this before, and I can see doing it in like 3 sentences. I will take what she wrote and boil it down to 3 sentences if you guys think it's okay to do. But the reason she started this project is that she is a former victim of child trafficking. And she is part of a network of people, media people, journalists who have experienced this. And she said that she has been in touch with people who, after being interviewed by a journalist, just trying to do their job the way they know how to do it, have said that they were suicidal after the interview. And that is her reason for wanting to do this project. And that kind of tugged my heartstrings a little bit. And if I'm just being too soppy, I don't need to lead you guys into that. But I can tell her that we won't do it this coming Monday, but that we're considering doing it after that. But let's see what Leeds does also. I haven't seen Leeds today. Maybe that's because I've been talking to you guys, which I like to do.
Yeah, we could send it to them and see what they say. And I would maybe just put, so it doesn't necessarily look like we're endorsing it. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but if it was something that was controversial, we could just say this was a submission and we're sharing the information for those who, it's kind of optional if somebody wants to do it or not anyway. But I like Susan's idea too about the tweeting. That way it's kind of out there and we're furthering it, but we're not exactly putting it in. So I could go either way on that.
Well, Susan, if you don't mind a suggestion, I think it might also be a good idea to be in touch with her and ask her if it's okay to put it on Twitter. She's making a big deal out of the fact that this is a survey for journalists. It's only journalists that she wants to be answering the questions in the survey.
Yeah, but she could kind of vet that on her own. I wouldn't want to tweet it as though it's our tweet coming from our community. I would retweet it. That's a different
I don't think she would do that. I don't think she'll put it on. I may be wrong. I mean, I don't know. I'm just.
Or you could put it on the Facebook. She could do a post in the Facebook group.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a freelancer. I'm involved in this. I'm looking for help. And that would be to a targeted audience without going into a newsletter, sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Twitter to me is different because anybody can follow SPJ Freelance.
Yeah.
Anybody who signs up. I don't know why anybody would, if they weren't really interested in freelance journalism. But, you know, who knows? It's just a much more public thing to me than our Facebook group, which, Susan, as you know, and Jenny also, we're very careful about vetting people to make sure that they're really journalists. We don't let people in there if they don't have a good reason to be there. That's different from Twitter, where anybody can follow anybody.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think I would agree with Hazel's idea. And then because anybody can put any information that's generally for other freelance journalists on Facebook, as long as they're on there, then they've already been vetted as a freelance journalist or journalist associate. So that's not a problem. And then we're not posting anything from ourselves. It's a member posting other things to members. And then if you're strongly, like if you feel strongly about it, then you can support it by vocally saying that you're going to fill out the form. And that's a personal soft push that you can do that doesn't have to be associated with the org.
I don't see a problem with Hazel's suggestion. And I think the reason why she mentioned the newsletter is because of the amount of engagement that we have with it. So it's sort of like a built-in guaranteed or semi-guaranteed way of actually reaching folks, as opposed to sort of like a random Twitter where it may or may not engage people, as well as the fact that she wants it directly geared towards journalists. So I would say, in my opinion, I don't think there's anything wrong with, you know, putting 1 or 2 sentences in our newsletter, just like we do for everything else, our pictures. I mean, with the newsletter, we're not endorsing the actual entities that are putting out the pictures. We're just letting people know this is where you can find things and just kind of go along. And I think this is in the same vein, in my opinion. I see there's nothing wrong with just, you know, informing folks that this is out there, and if they so choose, they'll engage with it. That's my 2 cents.
Thanks, Sergi. Anybody else have anything to add? Hazel, are you clear on the direction you should go, that you're gonna maybe check with HQ? And then I was lost on what we were, at first I thought Solomon was saying put it on the Facebook, and then that would make it neutral, so we're not doing it, so that the person's doing it. But then Sergi chimed in and said it wouldn't hurt to do the 3 lines in the newsletter. So our just making clear on where we're at. Hazel's gonna check with HQ on leads. We were maybe gonna go back to the lady or the journalist and tell her that she has the freedom to put it on our Facebook page if she wants to share it that way. And then Hazel, where are you at with the 3rd point on the Sergi, I think, was chiming in saying it wouldn't hurt to do the 3 lines like we normally do for the newsletter.
I'm happy to write up the 3 sentences or so to put in the newsletter if you guys think that's okay. And if you don't, then I can write to her and say that I mean, what she wrote is really long. We are not putting all of that at the beginning of our newsletter.
So I kind of agree with Nicole that, like, it would set a precedent that then everybody wants all their projects listed in the newsletter. We could just worry about that when it comes to it. My question will be, what section would it be in, or is it going to be at the top of the newsletter? Like, this is our main thing this week.
Our main thing this week is gonna be the July 25th. You know.
So then is there a section to put it in?
Well, then it can go after that, and you know, here's another thing coming up if you want to participate in it.
So could we ask her to put it on Facebook and then highlight that Facebook post?
That's
It's-
a really good idea. I don't think she's in the Facebook group. I haven't looked, but
Hmm.
I'll certainly get back to her and ask her. if
Because
she-
then we avoid it, like, then we could just, this is in Facebook. This is on, then
Yeah.
it's in there without setting a precedent for stuff like that.
You know, the precedent's already been set. We've had stuff like this.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think maybe it's really a case by case, like because I feel like we have maybe done similar things in the past,
Yeah,
but it's more like a case by case. You know, if we have room or if it comes along in the right time or whatever. But I just think my thoughts were with anytime I feel like something could be controversial, I always put up a little bit of a filter just to make sure like the person is really legit or, this thing is legit. And I don't know if sounds like she is, but what I'm saying is like, we could get everybody from everywhere sending us stuff that we have to decide.
I've already vetted her. She's legit. Lance, what do you think about all of this? You're the newsletter editor.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards including it. I think it wouldn't necessarily mean that everyone else is going to get their stuff in following weeks just because they ask. I think it kind of is a special case, and I'm sure she wants to hear from freelancers kind of mixed in with the general journalists who may be staffers. She probably wants a broad pool of people taking this survey, I would imagine. So
She's also a freelance community member.
okay, that's another tie. I mean, any kind of tie to the community. We could even say that in one of the sentences. Freelance community member, yeah, is putting out a survey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Thanks, guys. Any other thoughts? I mean, I know we did have a couple people that still had reservations about it, but I kind of liked Lance's perspective there. I'm good with that, I think. And then Hazel, do you want to go back to her and tell her about posting it on Facebook? Or
Yeah.
I think I was copied on that too. You want me to help out, or
No,
are you just
maybe
wanna-
it's good for you to do it, Jenny, since you're not only on the board, but vice chair. If that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Do you want me to just handle the whole thing and then tell her that we'll look at it for the newsletter? And if she'd like to post it on Facebook, she's welcome to do that in the freelance community group.
Right.
Okay, I got it.
She will approve her membership quickly. If she
Great.
isn't already a member, I haven't looked yet. Yeah,
And then Hazel, you're gonna draft the 3 sentences that goes to Lance.
yeah.
Okay, we got that squared away.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Sure. We had a couple loose items I think that Stacy wanted us to talk about, but we'll circle back on those, and then she might need to weigh on a couple of them too. But is there any other old or new business anybody else had before we say goodnight? And thanks to everybody for taking the time out. I know I'm not quite easy, but I did my best.
Thanks, guys.
I'm not seeing any other old or new business. So thanks everybody for being here. And there's a couple things we'll touch base on email on. And if we need to take any further action per Stacy, we'll do that probably by email as well. So our next meeting is August 14th. And then we have the July 25th event coming up. So if you can be at that, that'd be great. And otherwise, have a great night and thanks for the great meeting.
Thanks. Don't forget to stop the recording, Ginny.
Thank you.
All righty. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.